Stuff's getting real out there, Artem.
Oh yeah.
It's getting really real. I have not slept like this entire week.
Why? What's stressing you out? Ukraine?
The whole
Is it-
thing.
is it the
Honestly,
Ukraine?
It's the Ukraine. It's the whole Ukraine situation. The whole World War III. It's in this feeling of impending doom of the possibility. So let's get straight into it. There's so much to cover. A lot of people actually are going to benefit from this episode clearly because I genuinely get a lot of questions, and we see a lot of people are just asking even on their social media what's going on? What started this? What does Putin want? And some people even on Instagram you're Russian, did you want this? What's your beef with Ukraine? So there's a lot going on.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I didn't expect this to happen like that.
Not this quickly. I mean, so let's get into the reasons of why is Russia doing this, right? Why is Russia doing this? So there's Russia and there's Ukraine, right? There's two. They used to live together in harmony during the USSR, right?
Right.
When the Soviet
Way
Union
back, way
collapsed, way back, yeah. But when the Soviet Union collapsed, they were now two separate countries, two separate entities. And about 10 years ago, Ukraine expressed interest and said to NATO, which is a US-led military alliance, okay, it has a bunch of countries, Belgium, Turkey, Spain, amongst others, Canada, United Kingdom, a bunch, right? I think there's 12 or 13. And they expressed interest about 10 years ago, but what people don't understand or don't seem to realize, okay, and you can jump in anytime, is that the agreement of NATO, and the reason why it was even constructed in the first place. So what is NATO? NATO is an alliance that was created after World War II, I believe, to make sure that something like that never happens again. So if one of those countries are messed with, all the other countries are yo, we got your back, we had a deal, someone messes with me, you got my back, somebody messes with you, we have your back, etc. Now, while this, US-led military alliance was formed, there was obviously restrictions, and apparently one of the conditions was that Ukraine cannot join it, and there's
Right.
two reasons why. So a couple of things to know about Ukraine. First of all, Ukraine is very rich in natural resources. They're actually the fourth largest country, richest in resources, right? So two things. Russia obviously doesn't want, first of all, Ukraine is on their border. They don't want Ukraine to have military set up by NATO in their territory. Why? That they're saying that they feel threatened. Russia's yo, that's a threat to me. You have these tanks facing my way. If anything goes down, then you can use them. Honestly, I feel some type of way about that. I think Putin is out of control. People want to protect themselves too. You can't be the superpower. You can't. It doesn't. It doesn't matter what you say goes. However, because he expressed, because Ukraine's was not supposed to express interest in NATO, but they did. That's the second reason Russia's I told you not to do this. So this is the reason of why there's a war. There's geopolitical issues. Russia and Ukraine, in terms of the countrymen, they don't have issues with one another. This is not a war of where the people are really in a poor country and they're running around and you can see Middle Eastern countries. Look what happened in Afghanistan. The government ran away when the pullout happened and people were just fending for themselves, and
Right.
then a terrorist organization came and took over because that's what they wanted. This is a country where people were going to work, people are going to school, civilized. You know what I mean? It was different. There was no tension within. There's no land that anyone was fighting over. That's really, I think, where the surprise is, and the aggression of the attack. It bothers me. Just the aggression.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely a lot of things are happening. Definitely what you mentioned. A lot of people don't know that agreement that I want to say it was Gorbachev that signed.
Yeah.
In order, one of the things that they agreed upon when they agreed to bring down the Berlin Wall, essentially, is what created the end of the Cold War. All this kind of animosity between Russia and America, and they basically said that Ukraine will never be allowed to go into NATO for the obvious reasons. I mean, when Russia had missiles during the Cuban Missile Crisis in Cuba, which is farther away from America than Ukraine is from Russia, I would have to say.
Yeah.
If my geography serves me right, okay? I think they're bordering
You
Ukraine.
thought
There's a
about it
border,
perfectly.
right?
Yeah,
There's
yeah.
I'm just making sure,
Yeah.
right? And if I'm wrong, you can correct me. But
No, I think you're right.
I would feel like they're on the border of each other, right? We were talking crap. Are you crazy? You can't do this. You're right in our backyard. Politically, geographically,
He has a point. Yeah.
because
there's a deal.
he has a point. What pisses me off here is that Ukraine is being used between America, Russia, the UK, and France. and Canada actually to that. So they kept dandling this carrot, over Ukraine, saying, "Don't worry, you can always join if you want. You can always join if you want. We're here. We're gonna allow it."
And this is a
right?
new president too, and he was like very interested. He's like, "Yeah, hell yeah! Look, this is a comedian / actor turned president. Anything is possible, right?" And he was very, very interested. He's like, "Yo, like, let's go. This is definitely something we want to do."
Yeah, but he knew that this is gonna piss Putin off.
Of course.
This is like you slap right now. Ukraine, they're not idiots, right? So they know they're not gonna take on such a thing without maybe having some reassurances on their buddy side. Like, "Oh, don't worry, do this. We're gonna get your back. There's a lot of us. There's only one Russia," Then he would be like, "Okay, let me try to do this." And then when he tried to do it, all these little leaders are essentially they're not really helping. Like they're not sending troops out. They're not sending. They're maybe selling weapons. Maybe sending. There's in 350 billion. Was it billion?
Like I can get you out. Yeah.
Yeah, they offered him a taxi out. They offered an Uber out. Get in the the Uber XL and just dip. And he was like, "No, I'm staying here." Right? He's like, "I don't need your ride. I need
I feel very
guns."
conflicted about that, Artem, if I'm being honest. Like, I think that it's fucked up what's happening over there, and somebody needs to help. But I gotta say, like, to push us into a situation like that, I don't think that would make it any better. In fact, I think it would make it a lot worse. To help them, I think it's necessary. But because everything else is political, like if you help them, you have to help everyone. But it pisses me off because you help people where you're not supposed to help, and you're not helping them. You know what I mean?
Can't. I mean, we can't. We are helping them the best way we could, but this is the only way we could, right?
Yeah.
So
the only way we can with our own best interest.
We can't.
If
We can't
help them,
go
we can't go
into
against
war.
Russia. Yeah,
We
no,
can't. We can't go and send troops. And Putin made that very clear. He said anybody interferes, he's like, "I want to destroy you."
Yeah.
Now, people are making fun of the Russians right now because they're kind of getting a little. It's taking longer than expected to take Kiev. People are fighting back. The whole country is essentially up in arms, literally.
Which can take a long time for a war like this to go on, because if you have a militia like this made of the citizens, you better believe these people are literally fighting to the death. So they're as we speak creating Molotov cocktails. I mean, you name it, Molotov, right?
Molotov cocktails, yeah. And they America knew that they can't physically go and support them with like militarily. We can do sanctions, which we're doing, right?
But he's not gonna stop. Right? That's the thing. Putin's not gonna stop. Is he gonna stop at Ukraine? Because if nobody stops him, right? What stops Putin from stopping there? If he really does want to bring the former Soviet Union back to its glory, which he thinks.
I mean,
it might not work in a modern time. Look at what's happening in the stock market with Russia. Look at what's happening with Russia with their ruble. It's at a record low, Artem, and they lost how many billions dollars wiped off the market that first day?
Yeah, but I think he's a very calculated person. This guy doesn't just This has been like we've said before. This guy's been collecting gold for the last 5 to 10 years easy.
And by the way, for anyone who's confused, the reason why this is important, why has he been collecting gold? Why has he been doing all this? Because he needs a way to survive said sanctions. He knew that he's going to get hit with sanctions, so he needed something to kind of save up. It's almost like a savings account. Like your husband's beating the shit out of you, you start saving up money, and when you finally have enough, you buy that bus ticket and you jet.
Right.
It's like the same exact idea. So he's like, listen, I know I'm going to have an emergency, then I'm going to need to use A, B, and C. The problem here is, are we going to be able to outlive these sanctions as well? Because he's going to sanction us right the fuck back. Oil is going to be at an all-time high. Inflation is not going to help. You know what I mean? Like, this is bad for everybody across the board.
Europe is going to get it probably the worst. I mean, luckily for them, this is starting as we're going into the springtime-ish. They're dependent on, I think, 50%. Germany's dependent 50%
they depend a lot
of
on
natural gas on Russia.
Yeah, on Ukraine as well. Ukraine is a big energy source
and
for
Ukraine.
For the Europeans. That's one of the reasons why Putin doesn't want them to join NATO. He doesn't want NATO to have those resources at hand for them. I think he wants to be the major supplier.
There could be many different reasons, but nonetheless, then we're seeing we're seeing situations where people are showing like missiles targeting civilians. Now, I don't know. Maybe, but I don't know. How would that serve Putin to attack civilians?
I think that people have to understand that
everybody's televising this.
When a war goes on, so what Artem is referring to specifically is there was a missile that hit a hospital, specifically today, which is February 25th.
Yeah, 25th sounds right.
So
26.
It hit a children's hospital and an oncology hospital at that, and one of the children are dead. Now, when you see this kind of stuff in mainstream media, your immediate thought is, "Oh my God, war crime. That's it. Like this, he's crazy. He's off. He's off." And I swear to you, Artem had the same exact reaction. The second I read that headline, and forget about the fact that we don't trust mainstream media. You can verify this or whatever it is. It's the point. It's you have to ask yourself, why would he do that? Now, we're not defending him. We're not saying that. Oh, but you don't know how calculating you have to be in war. What if Ukraine is the ones that are doing that to make
You're gonna piss a lot of people off right now.
I am gonna piss a lot of people off, but maybe it's not Ukraine. Maybe it's another country instigating. My point is, why would Putin do that? How would that serve him?
It won't serve him. Also, they're not.
Why commit war crimes? That's taking it to another level.
Their military technology is far superior than them throwing random rockets into cities.
Yeah.
Right? They can conduct airstrikes, whether it's through helicopters and or the fighter jets that have direct hits. They can zone in.
I'll take a step back on what I just said, because you're right. I was going to piss a lot of people off, but I'm not taking a step back because of that. I'm actually going to go back on what I said, because there was a time where Putin actually burned his own cities to the ground when he was losing, so that they can't take advantage of the resources, just to spite them. Just at the end to be like, you know what, fuck you. They won, but there was nothing to win. It was nothing. And coming from a man that just threatened basically nuclear war, if he said, you'll see what you've never seen before, that's literally nuclear war, right? Nobody wins when there's a nuclear war, but I feel like maybe he is that crazy to commit war crimes, Artem, to make his point clear. You know what I mean? Like, it's
possible.
It's so up in the air.
It's not impossible, but we have to also stay as subjective as we can. What we're seeing, regardless of who's showing it, right? There's so much stuff that people are watching that they don't realize, like right now.
Yeah.
The shit that a lot of these, downed pilots and whatever, they're from 2014. They're not
100%.
happening now.
I saw a video
And
that was debunked yesterday.
They're not. People don't know. They don't know because half the people don't know that some shit happened in 2014. They're just waking up right now.
Yeah, they're not even awake. They forget.
They don't.
Look at the attention span we've created with social media. It's insane. CNN was broadcasting about Ukraine, and they're like sponsored by
Applebee's.
Yeah, like how
Yeah.
out of touch with reality are you? Remember there was a time where breaking news actually interrupted every fucking program?
No matter what,
in
yeah.
the middle of watching Maury. You are bam. We interrupt your regular program, whatever regularly scheduled programming, to bring you this important message. And all of a sudden you see whatever it is, breaking news, Heidi Tong's face on every single channel. And I think that that's really important, but we don't have that anymore. And it's very important to address. The entire world. When I'm on social media, that's when I can see that this device that's supposed to keep us connected is actually keeping us the most disconnected. Because all you see is everything random that everyone was doing that day. At the same time that Ukraine was getting fucking bombed that first day, I see a mother baby photo shoot like in the next story. Another story with like, pray for Ukraine. Another post and like, where was Israel? Where were you guys when Israel was upset? Like, you guys don't have this thing. It's crazy to me how it operates and how the next day, it's like hot news for like 15 minutes, but at the end of the day, there's really a disconnect of what's really going on. And because there's so much information, there's so much disinformation.
Right. I mean, I think people, especially with this conflict, because the government of Ukraine is not like a China, for example, right? So things are happening and they're not shutting down the internet.
Yep.
On the contrary, they want this to come out,
Absolutely.
to show, right?
Yep.
So the citizens who have iPhones, Samsung phones, smartphones are directly streaming what's happening, so that way we're more in tune. We feel like we're there, almost kind of like, this happened, now this is happening, right? Americans don't see war like that, right? It was never shown. Like our government, especially during Vietnam and stuff like that, we wouldn't see. They would never show you the stuff that's happening. Had we had social media, it would have been like, this war is fucking crazy. We have to stop this right now. Millions of kids are dying.
Yeah.
For no reason.
Look at the Holocaust. Look how long we took for everyone to figure it out. Are you kidding me? It's out of sight, out of mind.
Same thing with the Uyghurs in China.
Yeah.
If we're gonna stand up for justice, we have to stand for justice across. For all religions, for all races, for all
but
everything, man.
Like, Artem,
we can't be half-assing shit.
We're kind of bullies, honestly. In the world view, like we and I don't know.
Yeah, America is not
the good guy.
We're not bad.
We're not the bad guy. Listen,
nobody's the good guy. We just have to understand.
Our government has to play dirty. Sometimes.
But everybody's government plays dirty. But the problem is that the people in our country don't want to believe that our government plays dirty. That's the problem.
There it is.
But we have to understand.
Can you put like a round of applause thing or like a bingo?
It's one of these buttons.
Do it.
There you go.
Artem. You nailed it. That's it. That's exactly what it is. I think people don't want to even believe of what we're capable of. But you know what pisses me off though? And I'm so patriotic, but this is what pisses me off. And I'm probably guilty of it. I'm not gonna sit here and be like above my high horse. How come when we know like certain clothes that are made in Vietnam, like you know that's being made by some 6-year-old kid. But because you're not watching that kid's labor in front of you, it's really easy to forget. It's really easy to forget, and we still buy it, right? You hear the noise about it, you see the noise about the animals. Yes, some people will go far enough to go vegan, to try to help the movement. I understand that, but I'm talking about like other stuff. You see all this stuff, and literally America is built on the backs of children like that. If you think about it, all the clothing, all the cheap stuff that is mass produced here, it's because it's cheap to make in another country. You don't have a lot of companies that made in USA. That's pretty rare because you're gonna have to pay minimum wage for people like that to make that kind of stuff here. And we knowingly have, all of us have an iPhone or an Android. Who's making those? You know that they're made in sweatshops in China. That's been released, but yet we're all making we're all using Apple products. We know this, it's been released, but we turn a blind eye to it and we pretend it's not really there. Does that make us good people?
Well, it's not really in our face also, again. That's another thing,
That's
right?
exactly what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Out of sight, out of
If you
mind.
see-
Nobody
yeah.
cares, really. So I think it's really, really conceited of people to say, like, oh, well, we're the best country in the world. Well, I don't really think so. We do a lot of
No,
things
we're
wrong. Our
still-
systems are broken.
Yeah, no, but I still consider us being the best country in the world. For now, we're still okay.
We're okay.
With the amount of freedoms we still have here compared to, look at the fuck's happening in
100%.
Canada.
100%.
We thought that place was
But
like,
our freedoms are
look at
getting infringed
Australia.
right now. Yeah,
We were trying to run from here, like the plan B for probably all of Americans. Ask anyone, Australia. Where you going if some shit happens? I'm going to
Me
Australia.
and Artem used to have an inside
I'm going
joke,
to
like,
New Zealand.
Since like 6th grade, when like shit would go down in Israel every time, we would always constantly say, "Yo, where the hell are we gonna go if shit hits the fan?" And it was
Australia.
like Australia, because it's like surrounded by water. They're never in conflict. Hello, I didn't know that their government is so like
Authoritarian.
authoritarian. Yeah, they didn't
Like,
know-
the truth
they were
comes
in
out.
camps. They were in camps. These people. If you had COVID, you were in a camp.
Look at this
So-
Trudeau guy.
Trudeau is, forget it. He's with the convoy. They really make stuff happen, man. The convoy did something. The convoy did stuff and they're headed to Washington D.C. now, right?
Right, that's what I hear, yeah.
So what happened in Canada with that? Like the convoys, did they get what they want?
Honestly, I don't know what it is. I don't know what this guy was doing because the pandemic is coming to a close.
Yeah.
Majority of the other cities besides Ottawa, right, which is the capital, I think, of Canada, every other city almost, Quebec, Toronto, Montreal, all these larger cities, were already kind of reducing and stopping the mandates, which include masking for children, curfews. So, like, why are you fighting people towards the end of the pandemic? What are you doing? What good does that serve you?
Well, a lot of stuff of what they
That
do
makes
doesn't
no
make
sense.
The whole thing doesn't make sense, Artem, from the beginning. I can't believe that we are still entertaining that bullshit. When you sit down, you can take your mask off because, hey, you're eating. But the people that are inside, that are standing, you have to have that. It defeats the purpose. I will never agree with that. I don't care what anybody says. It will never make sense to me. I'm not going to fight it. I don't go to restaurants fighting, throwing hands. But every time I walk in and I'm asked to do that, or I still see all these restaurants.
They're still wearing masks. Like, people, which is fine. Which is fine.
Well, we don't have a problem with people wearing masks. The whole
But
point
it's like,
is just the fear mongering is it's so instilled in
it,
people now to wear masks.
exactly. That's exactly what it is.
It will never be
They made it a norm. Now people feel weird walking
Without it.
without a mask,
No.
right? So this is what they did.
I feel like the closes are, and what's messed up is stadiums are full blown running. Everyone's without a mask, but they still have schools masked because majority of children aren't vaccinated. I don't think that's correct. They're suffering the most.
I mean, you see those videos of all these kids that when they told them, "Oh, we're done with the masks," and they
were
go
so
crazy.
excited. Of course, my son, the first thing he does, he rips it off. He's like, "Oh, I hate it. It's 8 hours a day. Like it's a child."
It's naturally not natural for them.
Yeah,
that feeling is
of
not a
course.
natural feeling.
I can't even get my toddlers to agree to have it on, so we can't take them anywhere. I haven't taken them anywhere in over a year. Nowhere. No playgrounds to jump around in. Nothing. So. But I can't complain because even not going anywhere and staying home, the situation in Ukraine is a lot more tragic than what a lot of people are facing right now. Like these people literally just got bombed out of their homes and.
I gotta say, for the patriotism of that country
Bro,
and what they're
They just showed
doing.
everybody how it's done. Honestly, they are such bosses. those 13 people that got killed
On the boat?
Yeah, imagine like you know, surrender. You did not. That's it. And Zelensky and his wife are at the forefront. Like they're just not.
You can't run from your country.
You
when
can't,
you from
you can't.
your country when
You'd be
it's in
surprised.
war.
Look how many cowards we've seen in the past that just fucking ran away. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? No, the patriotism of these people, they're handing, but you know, the people, when they're armed like this should bring and make people understand why the Second Amendment is so goddamn important.
I was
because
just discussing that with somebody.
Look at how quickly everything can go south, and these people now are left on their own. No country's coming to their aid. You can't call the cops, guys. So what would you do if this situation happened to you? Let's say people start knocking down your door, a different country, an invasion, maybe there was a war, and looting, crime, all this shit outside. How are you gonna protect yourselves? How are you gonna protect your families? And you know, I'm pissed because our own government and our own systems are like, no, you shouldn't have a gun, school shootings, this and that. Listen, I understand all that. But at the end of the day, what was the Second Amendment created for? For this exact reason. And look how lucky these people are to still have some of their dignity in their lives. They're protecting themselves physically. They're handing them to their 8 and 9-year-olds. I have a 9-year-old. I can't imagine arming that kid, but you know what? Push comes to shove. If I need to, I will. At the end of the day, if you need to survive, and people are knocking down our doors, the windows, the doors, the basement. Imagine like there's nowhere to go and you feel like you're getting crunched in and you have little kids. What do you do? That you know, especially as a parent, Artem, like what do you do?
I mean,
You arm
instinctively,
your
you start
family.
fighting.
You
Yeah.
start fighting. That's what I'm saying. How important the Second Amendment is. People should all be paying attention to what's going on in Ukraine right now because nobody is coming to their aid. And me and Artem discussed it. It's a lot of issues why you can't just go and help every country because you want to. You just can't.
Can't do that.
You can't.
Biden even came out and said he's like, it's either we start World War III
It's going to be a World War III, exactly.
or we fight him through financial
but, you know,
means.
but there's some people that are going to say, well, then to hell with it, World War III. Because you can't do that to the... Because what he's doing, though, Artem, that's what I see. I'm like back and forth. What he's doing is like, so no one's going to stop him and he's just going to do it? What's going to stop anybody else from doing it like that, then? I hope the sanctions hurt, but I don't think they are. I think he's planned for that.
It's going to hurt the people of Russia.
It's going to hurt the people.
It's going to hurt the chip supply
It's not
chains.
stopping him. What if he doesn't stop?
It's
What's
going to
happen?
slow down the jobs. People are going to stop making money, which is going to be a problem. But then the war that just opened up is another Cold War. So it's not. I don't think World War III is going to be mostly like bombing. It's going to be. It's going to be a cyber war. They're going to start hurting our electric systems,
Infrastructures and all that.
our
yeah.
filters that run the water systems,
But that's even more.
your
like,
bank
chaotic.
accounts.
Yeah.
You understand? This is what they and they have one of the
Crypto,
best hackers known on this planet are Russians. Super strong hackers, like probably top of the Kremlin, the best. Them, the Chinese, and then Americans. Iran, strong hackers. These guys have North Koreans. Would be surprised. These guys, and they'll hurt you.
And you know the World Economic Forum literally held simulations for cyber attacks in July. So it makes you wonder, like, how the fuck did you guys know to do a simulation for COVID event 201? You know, the year of before it happened. Like, what would happen if there was an outbreak? And an actual simulation of the events took place, and all these big people were at this event and they watched it. And this is known, by the way, guys. Like, if you ever want to look it up, event 201, Google it, watch it. Pretty really shaky stuff. It was actually released, I believe, in October of 2021. Yeah, 2021, and then 2020, right? October of 2020, and then the pandemic hit in 2020, correct?
No, October 19.
October 2019. My apologies.
Yeah.
So this was a cyber attack simulation, and I remember watching the segment. Like Candace Owens was talking about like how none of us are prepared for a cyber attack, and they're talking about it. So if they're talking about it, maybe they're anticipating it because that's what we're seeing in history. And I'll be fucking damned. I see that we have all this talk now about hackers in Russia.
So let me paint you a picture.
Oh my God, what?
So imagine this. Imagine 5 months from now, we've sanctioned Russia so bad that it started to create internal problems for Putin. People started to protest. He's getting antsy now. He's going to start to retaliate. They're going to start hacking. Let's say they shut down our financial system. Let's say they shut down our financial system for about a month. Imagine people can't get money out of the bank. You can't pay for anything unless you have cash. Most people don't. To survive for a month. What is that going to cost? That's going to cause.
Absolute mayhem.
He doesn't even need.
Looting.
They don't need to come fight here.
Bro.
They don't need to fight us.
Exactly.
We're gonna fight ourselves for them.
Exactly.
This is what they're gonna create.
But
People,
that's, but that's what's crazy. But that's what's scary, Artem. That's what I've always wondered. Like,
but people don't understand that because we, in America especially, thank goodness, we live in a world where we don't think these things are possible because we've never experienced them, right? But look at history. This happened actually in America. There was 1929, the stock market crash, couldn't get your money out of a bank.
Mhm.
People were waiting in lines, they told them go home.
You don't have your money.
It happened one other time after that, later. So this happens. If you don't know your history, you're not going to know that this is possible. But it's possible. Very possible.
Very possible.
Because all
The
this...
banks don't even hold that much money for everyone to go in tomorrow. If tomorrow morning, 10 of us go to the same branch right over here on 188, they're not going to be able to pay us all our accounts out. They have to be told in advance. If you want to even close your account, you have to make an appointment so you can come and take out all your money. You can only take out about, 10% at a time or something? No, a little more. But you can't take out, you can't just close your account apparently. Like, they have the right to say, okay, you have to make an appointment for that. We have to make sure.
Yeah, I've been seeing people, random people, I don't even know. They're just like popping up sometimes because I'm like, let's say I was searching about like a topic and it'll tell me, oh, this is related to your topic. People were posting Citibank, Chase banks, and American banks just shutting people's accounts off for no reason. They're like, oh, we don't need your business anymore. It basically said, thank you, your account has been closed. And there's no explanation, nothing.
And they don't get their money?
No, they cashed them out and they closed off their accounts. Like, take your business.
Why?
They don't say. There's no reason for it.
That's very strange.
So, and this happened to one of my friends actually. He had a normal account. He has like $200,000 a year transacting normally, business to business, and they shut him down. They said, we don't come here no more, and they give him no reason, which is the weirdest thing.
That is really weird. That's worth looking into.
I mean, look at Canada. They froze accounts there. Nobody thought that's going to be possible, but they did it. And they used their excuse to say that we need to do this because these people are bad people. Because they deemed they were bad, they did it. Now, does crypto play a role in all this? And to some extent, like leave some money maybe in the crypto?
What if your crypto?
A little bit, just a little bit. No, you put it on your ledger. You keep it in the, you put it on a little
Is it possible to
USB.
take out the blockchain?
What do you mean? Like extract it or something?
No, just shut it down.
Look, technically, Bitcoin is one of the only ones that you really can't shut down because it's I think the most decentralized than Ethereum, but a lot of these blockchains, they're actually not fully decentralized, right? So the systems are decentralized, but they're on like AWS, so Amazon Cloud is running them.
Yeah.
They're still
That's pretty
technically
central, yeah.
centralized. Amazon could shut them off, technically, most of them.
Well, yeah.
But the programs themselves are decentralized. So nobody's running that program in Amazon, but they're in Amazon, right? So are they really decentralized? Not really. But Bitcoin is different because Bitcoin, I think, the way there's so many people mining it and there's so many like transactions that are happening, and it's all over the world. So if you shut it down, let's say in America, like they did in China, they shut it down in China, it dipped in power, but it didn't like shut off. Right? It didn't go to zero. Like, it just slowed down. People took all their crap, came to Texas, came to Florida, came to Seattle, planted all those hard drives there, reset farms, reset shop, and we're back. Now we're at the highest hash rate. We're back to all-time highs. So that's harder to shut down. Look what happened in Ukraine. They sent $9 million in Bitcoin.
Well, prayers to anybody that's lost family in Ukraine. Our hearts are with you. Stay strong. I really, really hope that this receives reaches some kind of diplomacy or resolution. But I don't know. My intuition is telling me this is far from over. That, like you said, it's gonna be a different type of war. What you described is probably worse to me than if we had soldiers running up on us right now in the streets. Honestly. Because and that's what I was like really stressed out about all week. I'm like, yo, this is really happening. Well, our kids are small, and we really wanted to give them a good life, but unfortunately, with people in power that have the power to do, I have no words, man. I'm so upset.
We're in a very weird cycle of how life runs. So if you look at the last 100 years, right? Every 15 to 20 years, there's like a great period,
That's what I'm saying.
a
And
good,
there's
a
shitty
bad period, which creates great periods, right? There's this wave length that happens.
Yeah.
We were in the wave, which is the worst, because we were in the middle of the boom. We rode it to the top, and now we're collapsing. We're going down into the shit. So again, we have right now, we're creating a weak generation.
So I literally put that on my Instagram today. Hard times create strong men. Strong men create good times. Good times create weak men, and weak men create hard times.
That's basically the timeline from after World War II,
Yeah.
right? Created good times,
Yep.
all the way straight down, and then all the good times up to the 2000s, we started creating
Weak men.
weakness started coming in, and we're
Bitches.
still creating them.
Bitches.
We're not done yet,
Yeah.
but there's going to be a cycle.
And now look at what weak men are creating, the hard times.
Right.
So if I'm really, really rich, right, and I accomplish generational wealth, and my children will be rich, and my grandchildren will be rich, but apparently my great-grandchildren will not be rich, they will be poor. And when you're asked why, that's the answer, is because I'm gonna work hard enough for my kids to have a lot of money, and they're gonna understand that, and they're gonna have enough money to pass down to their own kids. But that fucking kid is not gonna have any work ethic already instilled in them, everything is too easy, they're gonna create a hard time. They're gonna create a harder life for themselves because they didn't have that hustle. And the chances are, because they're weaker just by all the multi-factors around them, just by their environment, the lack of struggle, because they're weaker immediately, they're gonna have harder times.
Right.
But then they might be able to create good times again, but it's an amazing, amazing life cycle, as you can see, like what you just said, it goes up and down the whole world. Our entire cycle, the ecosystem, everything goes through that cycle. I just, like I said, hope our kids get to see some kind of good times.
Well, listen, we'll try to stay up on this Ukraine stuff. We'll see what happens.
Yeah,
You know,
well,
I hope it de-escalates.
I really hope it
you know,
de-escalates too, because right now, you know, and we can't get into it in this episode, but, you know, immediately when you see weak leadership and things like this happening and a lot of distractions in the news, other countries might get gully and get other ideas, like China is invading Taiwan's airspace, and that poses a very uncomfortable situation for the United States, because we are obligated to actually help Taiwan, where they're not in NATO, but there are other reasons as to why apparently we are obligated to help them. And if we help them, China's gonna get pissed off, and guess who China is allies with?
Russia, yeah.
Russia.
And Iran. They might start
And Iran,
with-
and North Korea. So that might start the war. This might be just the trigger, the cherry that's thrown on top. That's what I've been thinking about this entire time. Because everything is so hot right now, it's very easy for a war to begin right now. Very easy.
America can't go to war with Biden not being able to pronounce full sentences. We're gonna just get rocked. We can't do this. We need Trump.
He said the sanctions can stop him.
Come on, man.
Come on, man.
Look, this guy, stupid son of a bitch.
What a stupid son of a bitch, baby.
Inflation.
You know he's talking about himself, right? When he said stupid son of a bitch.
Oh man.
Well, prayers with Ukraine, guys, and like we said, we're gonna try to stay up on this topic.
See you guys next time.
Take care.